Well, we're reaching the end of season 3. We'll get to part 2 in episode 24 in just a minute. But first of all, when we last left in part 1, Sakura had still two remaining cards that haven't been transformed yet, light and dark. But now there's a problem. Since the last two cards couldn't be transformed in any way, but that doesn't mean that Yui and Kero have a plan. And what was their plan? Well, they told Sakura that they can go inside the staff itself, Sakura Star staff that is, and if they do, then the last two cards can be transformed. However, Eli, you remember him, he just let slip in front of UA and Kiro that that's the only way. And of course, he made an assurance of a warning that if they don't transform the last two cards, then that means their fate is inevitable. That means they'll be trapped inside of Sakura Star staff for eternity. So that's where part 2 begins. Also, as we learned back in part 1, Sakura has 46 star cards, so now she's down to 2. After hearing this terrible scenario and the bad news, as we learned back in part 1, Sakura was horrified. She was so sure that she was going to lose both Kiro and Yue, but this time for sure. Although Sakura, determined that she could be, is not going to lose everyone, including Kiro and Yue, there's just no way. She is losing all hope. And she said to herself that there's no way that she's going to do it. No way. But then Yue had to comfort her the best way he knew how. He said, Sakura, we believe in you, so you must believe in us. Then Yue says, you have to try because that's the only risk you can take, he said. Then it's Kiro's turn to plead his case to Sakura that the cards believed in her, so she has to believe in them too. So now that Sakura knew that this is the only chance and the only shot she's going to get, and with morning approaching quickly and with no time to lose, Kiro and Yui knew that this is the last resort. So they went inside Sakura's star staff. So that's what happened. And when they did, what happened next was unbelievable. Sakura's star staff was twice in size, only larger, of course. So finally, at long last, the course is going to transform the last two cards, and with a little help from Kiro and Yue on the way, she just might pull it off. So the last two cards begins to change, or at least that's what they did at first. But then Sakura started losing all hope and faith. But just when hope was lost for Sakura and she was giving up, but guess who decided to come up from behind? It's Lee. And he just grabs her and her staff, and so Sakura was asking, what are you doing? Well, Lee was more than happy to answer that. He says he was going to try to channel his powers through her, and they just might pull it off. So Sakura asks, are you sure? You can fall under a spell. Don't worry about it. I'll be okay, Lee said. Okay, Sakura says. Here goes nothing. So both with Lee's power and Sakura's power combined, they decided to change the cloud cards together, so that's what they did. So long story short, thanks to Lee and Sakura, at long last the last two cards were changed, so that makes it 48. Finally, what Sakura did next was unbelievable. She caused the light card's form to appear out of nowhere, and so she did. So finally, with the light card's form's power, guess what it did? It makes the power of light to make the darkness disappear forever. So long story short, thanks to the teamwork of Sakura and Lee, the world is saved. The spell is broken, and the darkness disappeared from the earth forever. Also, long story short, I forgot to mention, Eli had finally pleaded his case since he's impressed that both Sakura and Lee's teamwork had pulled it off. He finally realized that yes, it's finally over. Oh, let's not forget Kiro and Yue, who finally came out of Sakura Star staff. They survived intact. They were not harmed. So finally, after all the teamwork, they finally had changed all the cloud cards into star cards. But wait, there's some either better news. Guess who decided to wake up first? It's Sakura's best friend, Madison. And let's not forget her older brother, Tori, who later wakes up, and along with everybody else. Mr. Tarada, Sakura Lee's teacher. Let's not forget Sakura and Lee's classmates, Zachary, Chelsea, Nikki, Rita, and let's not forget Sakura and Tori's father, Aiden, who also woke up, and of course Madison's mother, Samantha. And let's not forget Maggie on the way. So not only did Madison receive the good news that she's fine, and she doesn't really remember much, Tori will be fine too, according to Yue. So back with Ruby, Eli, and Spinner, who just got off from the shrine, the first thing Eli did was to congratulate her. Plus, even better, Sakura now realizes that what Eli had just said to her that the star cards belong to her and is hers alone. But Sakura knew that she didn't transform them all at once. She did it with a little bit of teamwork. Yue, Kero, and of course Lee on the way. So yes, it is true. All of the cards have been changed. And of course, it is all because of Sakura's inner star power. Of course, what's even more better, Sakura finally gets all her strength back. She's no longer tired. So the next morning at the elementary school where Sakura and her friends are attending at, Mr. Terada tells everyone the bad news that Eli Moon will be going back to England soon and he'll be no longer attending. But he's not the only one. Ruby is going back to England too, so she'll be no longer attending the high school where Sakura's brother Tori and Julian were. So after Sakura, Madison and Lee have heard that Eli is going to be leaving soon the very next day. So Lee was asking Sakura if she was going to go to his house anyway. And of course, after Sakura said that she will, but she's not going alone because Lee says that he's going with her and so is her best friend, Madison. She's going there too. So later that afternoon, right after school, Sakura, Lee, and Madison all went to Eli's house. So by the time that the three of them had arrived at Eli's house, Sakura finds it weird that the door was unlocked, so she pushed it open. So the three of them went inside. Now you could tell by the size of the hallway alone, it is absolutely humongous. I've never seen the hallway so big before, just until now. Oh, I almost forgot that Kira was with Sakura, Madison, and Lee, so he was inside Eli's house as well as they did. So after everybody had arrived inside the dining room, we have Ruby, Eli, and Spinner. They were there to surprise them. And boy, what a surprise that is. So Ruby went first to plead her case to welcome everyone. And of course, Eli said to everyone, Lee, Sakura, Kero, and Manson, I've been expecting you, every one of you. So, Ruby agrees to give each and every one of their seats, Madison, Lee, and Sakura. As for Kiro, he joins with Spinner on the table. Well, before Kiro can join up with Spinner, he wanted to know what's going on here. I want some answers right now. Eli pleaded his case to Kiro to say, calm down. Besides, Eli said to Kiro, you can relax. It's all over. Sakura happens to agree with Eli and says, no kidding. So everybody sat down at a table. I'm talking about Sakura, Madison, and Lee. Ruby, on the other hand, didn't hesitate to serve tea to everyone. So Eli went first to ask a question. So where do we start? Well, why don't we start with this, Sakura suggested, by explaining to us just what is going on here. Oh, and better than that, why don't you explain to us why you caused these disturbances in the first place, she said. Then Eli started pleading his case with Sakura that you knew you had faced many challenges on your way, he said. So flashback, we go back to season 2, episode 11, when Sakura changed her staff for the first time. It was at the time of the final judgment when she was face to face with Yue. So, what did she do? Instead of a cloud staff that she has a star staff. Oh, let's not forget Kiro, Yue, and Madison and Lee. They were there too. When they saw the staff changed, that's when they knew the cars had chosen Sakura. So back to the present in the dining room of Eli's house. Then Eli said that by the time the Sakura staff had changed, but so were the book. So she has to use a different chant instead of the old one. So flashback, we go back to season 3, episode 2, when at the time at Penguin Park, when Sakura was trapped in the big, huge water tornado and saw her friends, or so she thought. Then she realizes that if she doesn't do something quick, then her friends are going to die, and she wouldn't allow it to happen. So she closes her eyes to concentrate. Yuri wanted to help out Sakura, but Kero wouldn't allow it, and said to let her find her own power. And that's when Sakura realized that the reason why her staff and her key didn't work is because she was using the wrong chance, so she has to use the new one instead. So she did. So when she was about to use the fiery card before it became a star card, that didn't work either because she knew it the staff in the book had changed, then the cards are going to change too. So she uses the fiery card for the first time and changed it into a star card. And at that time, it was when at that moment the fiery star card had knocked out all the water. Then back to the present in the dining room of Eli's house. According to Eli, that explains why Sakura had transformed her first star card, and that wore her out. He also explained to Sakura that she needed to be more patient because she knew that the time was running out, so she was desperate to transform all 8 of them at once. So, flashback, we go back to season 3, episode 7, where she attempted to transform all 8 of them at once. Remember, it was in Sakura's upstairs room at the Avalon residence, and Kiro thought that she had lost her mind. But she knows that if she doesn't transform them all in soon, that could mean disastrous consequences. And this also, in Sakura's case, could mean bad news. The long story short, back to the present in the dining room of Eli's house. In omission by confession, that's when Eli said it was a lesson for her. So Kiro said to Eli that he must have done this on purpose so she could transform every card there was. Well, Eli, in omission by confession, said that he did that for one simple reason. Because since the time was running out, according to what Eli says in his case, that means the cards themselves must be drawn from their new master or mistress, which was case in point Sakura. Because otherwise, if they're not transformed by then that means all the magic will be lost. Then flashback, we go back to season 3, episode 5, when at the time, it was at that night when Sakura's at Julian's house. And let's not forget Mazin, she was there too, and so were Kiro and Yue. Since Sakura knew that this would be a problem to use both the sword and the fly card since they were both on the same staff at once, so guess what she did instead? To have herself have wings instead of a staff, so that the staff itself can use the sword. So that's what happened. It was also at the time that Sakura was battling the giant teddy bear. So back to the present in the dining room of Eli's house. And that's when, by surprise, Sakura knew the truth. It was Eli who gave her the wings. Then Eli says, wait, there's more. Because the reason why he's doing this is because he acted out of Clowry's will. But he confessed also that he wasn't alone because someone else is working with him. I almost forgot about Yue. He's at Eli's house too, but we'll get to him later. So anyway, back with the group, that's when they realized of who that someone that's working with Eli is. Remember Layla Mackenzie from 2 seasons ago? Well, guess what? So yes, it's true. Not only is Miss Layla Mackenzie back from her teaching job in England to join up with the group, that means Lee, Sakura, Madison, and of course Eli, and she just sat with the group at the dinette table. So that's what she did. Plus, in omission by confession, she has something to tell Sakura. Well, in omission by confession, Miss Mackenzie said the reason why she's helping Eli in the first place is because she wanted to prepare him for the mission that Sakura has just now finished. Well, not just Eli, because according to what Miss Mackenzie says, she wanted to make sure that Sakura will succeed in her quest. So flashback once again to season 2, episode 11, when Sakura was about to lose the final judgment because she knew that if it happens, she'll forget about everything and everyone that she knew. And then the whole thing will start up again, just like the day when the cloud cards were accidentally set free by Sakura in the beginning of the first episode in season 1. Also, it was at the time that Miss Mackenzie had the moon bell with her, but not anymore. And of course, after Sakura had broke free from the power of the vines, after everyone else was calling her name, that's when Miss Mackenzie confessed the reason why she used the moon bell is because it granted a purpose for Sakura to be given one last chance to finish the final judgment, in which she did. Then back to the present. According to Miss Mackenzie, in omission by confession, she says that the reason why she's preparing Eli and helping Sakura at once because she did it under one condition to help Sakura succeed in her quest, which has now ended, and also Eli's mission, which has now been completed. Also, in omission by confession, according to Miss Mackenzie, she didn't want to reveal the truth to Sakura at first because she said it was necessary to keep the mission a secret. Then, when Miss Mackenzie discovered that UA is missing, that's when Eli suggested to go get him. And so he told everyone else that he'll be right back, and so he stepped out in the hallway. So, in the hallway, that's when Eli meets up with Yue. Told you we get back to him later. And so, what Yue wanted to know from Eli, why Clary felt it was necessary to have the new master or mistress to begin with. Well, in omission by confession, that's when Eli told Yue that he already had known the answers since the beginning. That means, since Clary's death centuries ago, he knew that he needed a new master or mistress to begin with. Eli also had said that it was necessary. Though granted, according to Eli, what he says in his case, he may not have the same memories as Clary did, but he may have some memories in his past life. Also, according to Eli, what he says in his case, that Clary may not be alive anymore, but according to what he says, that's why Yue and Kero had to be chosen to be Sakura's guardians, just like they are now. And that's the way it's ought to be, and the way it's meant to be. But wait, there's more. Eli made another confession to Yue when Yue had to tell him why he had to be so hard on Sakura all the time. He said that he has his reasons of doing it. And according to Eli, he said that he wanted to make sure that Sakura is worthy enough. Although he does have to agree with the fact that Kero and Yue had chosen the candidate well, and that candidate was Sakura herself. Also, in Eli's case, he said that Claudette had to choose him for a reason is to make sure that the last wish that he made was fulfilled, and so it did. Although Eli agrees with Yue that he missed Claudette so much, and so did Kero. Now, according to Eli, he says it's now Yue's turn to make a choice to make sure that Sakura will be well protected. So after leaving from Eli's house, the very next day, Sakura walked from school to the bridge, where she meets up with Lee. So after Sakura meets up with Lee on the bridge, that's when Lee tells Sakura that he has something he wishes to tell her. Well, according to Lee, he told Sakura some good news and some bad news. So after Sakura has asked him what was wrong with him and why he's so upset, well, first of all, Lee told Sakura the good news that he just got a call from his mother in Hong Kong. And of course, Lee told his mother that first of all the cards had been transformed into star cards, which now belong to Sakura. Now, according to Lee, what he says in his case, here comes the bad news. He's leaving the very next day to Hong Kong to meet up with his mother. And now, according to what Lee, the reason why he's all upset is because he felt that since Sakura is the mistress of the cards now, he'll no longer be needed. But Sakura tells him otherwise that it's just not true and none of this would be possible if it wasn't for his help and etc. Of course, in Sakura's case, had the last two cards had not been transformed to begin with, according to what she said to Lee in his case, and in her case, then the world would have ended for everything and everyone. Now, according to Sakura, her only regret is that she had wished that there was some way for Lee to stay around a little longer. But now Sakura realizes that Lee has no choice. He made his decision to leave. So, later at the Avalon residence, when Sakura goes upstairs to her room, now she's horrified that Lee's going to be leaving and there's nothing she could do about it. So, she hung her head in shame and started to cry. But Something amazing happens when Sakura's tear touched the bedroom floor. It was something that Sakura never witnessed before. And then out of nowhere, coming from Sakura's tear, is a new star card. Sakura has never witnessed anything like this before, so she was amazed and she was in awe. Now that Sakura has a new star card and it came from her tear when she cried, she turns it over and then thinks to herself that maybe, just maybe, there is hope that maybe someday Lee will return, but the question of when is anyone's guess. So that's the end of episode 24 in part 2. Thank you for watching all 3 seasons of Cardcaptors, and don't worry, I got more on the way. So I'll see you soon.